Hey, how you doing? What's been going on for you? How have you been? Sorry, I haven't spoken in a while. Things have been really busy, but that's no excuse. So, yeah, life has been really hectic. Been experiencing a few different emotions, ups and downs. But the thing that's come out for me at the moment is, and just a few associated things here. So this week on our introduction to permaculture course, we did about patterns, and I've been co-facilitating. I co-facilitate a mind workshop on a Friday, and the part of the workshop we've been talking about patterns to within like changing sort of in our behaviour that can help us overcome. So dealing with anger, so looking at how we actually cope with that, and it just made me think that that's the thing for this week, and especially as I've been attempting to do this talking to you for 2 or 3 times now. And a little while ago, I was sitting here doing a video, and it was broken up. I had to stop it because a little old lady. I'm in a community hub at the moment, but there's a little old lady, and she stumbled, and then she fell, and she hit her head on the ground, and it just made me think about how we go through processes in life where we have these patterns that we follow, whether they're shaped for us by our upbringing, whether they're shaped by our culture, work, family, relationships that we have, or whether it's shaped by mental illness, whether past trauma determines how we get on in those situations, how we get on in life, how we get on in work, how we go through school. Do we suffer from anxiety and depression and poor mental health through school? Does that pattern follow into our work life? Is that there in our personal life? And it just made me think that how at any time something can come along to break those patterns. And so if they're positive patterns, for example, that we have a goal, we have a vision, and we make a plan to move to a new house, to have a new job, to get married, but something comes along to upset that, the job falls through, or the house sale falls through, or suddenly we have a change of heart about getting married. I don't know, anything that you can think of that is part of a goal or a vision. But things come along and can change the patterns that we are used to, the behaviours that we have got used to. So I know that when I was in a previous relationship, I lived with somebody who was abusive and who would tell me horrible things about myself, and I believed them, and at the same time I didn't want to be in that relationship. I wanted to get out of it, but I was used to it. It was a pattern that I understood. It was a pattern that I coped with. So I accepted it, and I stayed in that pattern. I didn't know how to change it. I was afraid to change it. Fear stopped me from changing that situation towards something that was more positive. Eventually, things happened that I did get out of that relationship, but pattern literacy is part of the permaculture design process, and understanding how patterns affect design is important if we are going to design resilient and regenerative systems. Societal patterns are important, how our communities work together, how they learn to support each other from each other, peer to peer, if you like, have to support each other to build strong communities. And just looking at other cultures, I suppose, can help us look at how we can do that. And looking at our own behaviours and how we can change things that no longer serve us. So one of the things that came up in the course this week when we was talking about patterns, was also the social side of it. So looking at spirals of abundance and spirals of erosion, so things that support us and that help us grow and evolve, and we bounce back and bounce forward with our mental health and overcoming adversity too, so overcoming life challenges. But then, looking at the patterns of behaviour that actually are erosive to our lives, things that we don't want to have in our life, people that don't want to happen in our life, even relationships where, although, we need to find commonality with certain relationships. So looking at the edge effect, if you like, for example, where one person's relationship and another person's relationship can either work or it cannot, and how generally you'd be looking at something to be productive, but looking at how we can learn to change those patterns of behaviour, things that that don't serve us, that are not beneficial to us, and we can do it. And just thinking about some of the things I've been talking about this week is we can change those patterns of behaviour. We can look at designing our own resilience. We can look at how we can support our own well-being. And I don't think it takes much for us to actually be able to do that. And I guess part of that is looking at how I've not had the time or found perhaps the right words to even say to be here with you now. Maybe I've just wanted to wait until the right time, which then has perhaps stopped me from being able to find the time to actually sit here and talk to you. And I think sometimes we can try too hard at doing something, and we try too hard at doing something. We end up forcing a situation, I suppose, rather than letting things happen organically. I guess the point I'm trying to say is that patterns are all around us, and that the way we shape our lives can be determined by those patterns. So I just like to leave you really with that just think about the patterns that serve you. Are they, those patterns that serve you? Are they relationships? Is it your job, your work? Is it your culture? And just looking at the things that really help you to grow and evolve, but also looking at those patterns that don't serve you. How can you make changes in your life towards perhaps doing some commitment cropping, so taking things out of your life that no longer serve you? It could be relationships, it could be you want to change your job, it could be I don't know, it can be anything you want it to be. But I know we can do this. We can change our patterns of behaviour, and it's really important to remember that we are part of nature. So I'll leave you with that this week, and I will try to make my utmost to make sure that I speak to you every week and change my patterns of behaviour. So take care, guys. I'm here for you. I love you loads.